Did the illness sort of align with that phase, or were you like, no, now it's time to do the healer?
I switched to a healer.
Yeah.
Okay, so at first I was thinking that the healer figure would be like maybe some kind of judge. And I was like, judge ain't right. That's not the right energy. That's not the right thing. And so I switched it to a healer. I realized that's who that figure needed to be. Time went on, and then my illness happened. And so I had already made that decision like long before my autoimmune disease expressed itself. And it kind of just happened to be the one that was next in line when I was able to go back to my studio, which I think is not a coincidence. So that to me is extremely powerful, because that piece, like I say, like it saved me, and we maybe kind of created each other.
That is the voice of Annalise Gratovich, and you're listening to A Creative Excuse presented by Hecho. This is Frank Rose.
And I'm Carrie Duvall. Annalise's exhibition is on view at Hecho through June 28th.
In this episode, we talk about Annalise's newest body of work, Carrying Things from Home, a series of 8 monumental woodcuts that are 13 years in the making. On view at Hecho now for the first time in their entirety.
We'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform and even leave a review. It really helps.
Thanks for listening.
Can you open that back up again so I can look at the thing? So the last time we talked, you had not, it was March, right? Print Austin, March of 2024, or was it February?
2025.
February of 2025.
Yeah, last year.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Had you printed the Fool yet?
No. That was
hadn't
October 2025.
Right.
Wow, that was the same year.
Dang, that wasn't that far. That wasn't that long ago. Really? No.
I think I was talking about the anticipation of starting the piece.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I need to start this piece that we're publishing in October. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then we also talked about going to Oakland to steel face that plate.
Yes.
Did that happen?
No.
No.
Not yet. No, and Nicole doesn't know this, but I actually just want to maybe like hire her to print with me to actually just get it done.
Yeah.
And maybe we steel face and print at the same time. And I would, Nicole Markowitz is an amazing printmaker, intaglio printmaker, mokuhanga printmaker. So she has that Moonlight press, and with a partner, Courtney Senish. So I would love to go there and do that with her, but she doesn't know that yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Cool.
Yeah.
So don't tell her about this podcast.
That's okay. I catch
no. So maybe why don't we go like an overview of the whole project? Mm-hmm. So you began sort of planning and drawing and everything like 13 years ago, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
And maybe just like, since we talked about it the last time, maybe just a few sentences on just sort of the origin of the project.
The origin story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Carrying Things from Home is the name of the series, and the impetus for that is my father and his parents' flight from Ukraine. He was a very young child, and that was during World War II. And so they left in the middle of the night with what they could carry with them. And they traveled through Eastern Europe and were eventually sponsored by the Tolstoy Foundation to come to the United States. So we lost pretty much all of our familial ties on that side of my family. We have just a handful of photographs, some of which are their portraits from Red Cross ration cards as they were moving through different areas. So we have those. We have a couple other portraits. We have some really cool photographs of my engineer. And so they would dismantle, just a quick note on this, factories along the front lines and send resources back east to keep them out of the hands of Axis powers. So there's a few photos of him that are really powerful with his teams in bunkers, and they look very Slavic with fur and smoking cigarettes, and they're, in these really interesting architectural environments. But all that to say, that loss of familial and personal and cultural identity has left a lot of space for what I kind of refer to as a mythology of these questions and inferences and bits of stories. And so that all of that is the impetus for this series, Carrying Things from Home, which is a series of 8 totemic beings. Each one has a soul identity, and they are draped in highly stylized and patterned decorative textiles, and they all carry something precious that they kind of alludes to their identity, personhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which one was the first?
The first one was the Mariner, which is the one with the big fish. Also kind of looks like a whale, so that's open to interpretation. And then the next one is the Hunter, which is my Siberian hunter surrounded by holding a hare and has a big bear. And so those two I was kind of working on. I definitely did the Mariner first, but then jumped quickly into the Hunter. So I had both of those blocks done by the time I started printing.
And you talked about like how each one sort of has this, very sort of fundamental human element about it, like the Mariner being travel or migration, right? And Hunter being like food, and how these things are like really core central parts of, being human and moving through the world, right?
That's right. Yeah, they're all kind of elemental. And so they start, yes, with the Mariner, which is that exploration, migration. The Hunter, there's the Builder, which is kind of shelter. So that's food and shelter. And then there's a Musician, which is arts. There's a Mother and an Undertaker, life and death. And then there's the Mother, there's the Healer, which is the next one, which is the most metaphysical. And then the Fool is the final figure, is definitely the most esoteric.
Yeah.
I find that really interesting that the Fool is the last
Yes.
to come.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a sense of why?
I always wanted to end on a Fool. And when I started the series, I was kind of making notes about what I wanted to do and who the figures might be. And I don't exactly know why I was drawn to the Fool, but I think I identify with that. I think a lot of artists would, that idea of, being a dreamer or investigating things or searching for things. But also that idea of looking into the expanse and the unknown. And so I kind of think I was setting myself up for like the idea of new beginnings. And then as I was working on the series, I was like, yeah, the Fool is going to be representing the new beginnings. And I'm going to end on that one to give myself a good launch into the next, the next thing.
I'm thinking of the song by the Beatles, The Fool on the Hill. How does that go?
Yeah.
Watches the world spin round and round.
Yeah.
Something like
You
that.
got it.
Yeah.
That's it. Uh-huh.
But this, I think, there's two kinds of fools.
Yes.
There's two different kinds of fools. There's the fool that is the beginner and the start.
Yeah.
But then there's the one that has gone through, like, it seems like the whole life journey and comes to this place of recognizing, oh, I don't really know anything, and starting the new beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or recognizing the fact that also we can never know, or sometimes don't know where our path is leading. Keeping that that open mind. There's also the jester. The Fool is the jester, and so it was never going to be that kind of fool. So I did know that much. Although I didn't know who the fool was going to be until, of course, I started.
Right, but the jester is very interesting.
Very interesting, yes.
Very interesting, because the jester can poke fun.
That's right.
And bring things to light that
Yes.
no one else in the kingdom can.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
And you said the healer, was it that you said the healer felt the most metaphysical?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
I think about that one being metaphysical because it's a lot of, there's that, I mean, the main image there is that very graphic black and white swirling vortex from the solar plexus. And so it's about energy and cyclical energy and that kind of happening within our bodies and within our environments and tying the symbolism in that piece. There's a lot of this duality in my work, which I really like to investigate. And so these things of like, as above, so below, what's within is without, and that kind of reflection. And so in that piece, all the symbols are cyclical energy. So at the bottom, there's a lot of, there's wood and moss and different types of mushrooms that are all composting. And so there's that cyclical composting and regeneration. And then there's the double-headed serpents up the side of the textile. So those will shed and be reborn. And then moving up through the piece into the headdress, Hohoshnik area, that has branches in alternating seasons. So one is dormant and then one has leaves, and they're supporting a spider web. So there's the alternating of the seasons, but then there's that spider web which gets destroyed and rebuilt every day. So it has a lot to do with that kind of cyclical energy, symbolism and regeneration and rebirth, and all of those, and nature being integrated and, being in a place with a capital P and being a part of that place, and the power that comes from that. And that piece came out of my, recovery period after I was really ill. And it was the first piece that I completed when I was coming back to my studio practice. So a lot of that is a lot of very personal imagery to me and things that I found solace in and that would bring me peace and made me feel like I had the swirling vortex of energy in my solar plexus,
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. That's I think that might be my favorite piece. I told Frank that. I was like, I love that piece.
Thank you.
Swirling, yeah. And the spider web. I really resonate with that spider web. Yeah.
Thank you. I also forgot to mention in the textile at the bottom, there's this I call it a thorny seedling of inner growth. So that's a really big part of that piece because it's the seed that has vines coming out and it's thorny, and that's a big symbol in the piece too. So I don't want to forget that one. I really love that one. I think it might be my favorite. And I'm asked that a lot, which one's your favorite? And there's like obviously no way I can choose. But I lean towards that one. Although I love the hunter, and of course I really love the fool, and there's so many parts in that I really like. And I'm inclined to say like the newest one is my favorite, but I really love the healer. And being able to come to that one at that time in my life, I mean, that was like my salvation, right? And just being able to get back my life, my creative life. And so I can't look at that piece and not be like so grateful.
Did that happen organically? Like, were you planning on doing that? Did the illness sort of align with that phase, or were you like, no, now it's time to do the healer?
I switched to a healer.
Yeah.
Okay, so at first I was thinking that the healer figure would be like maybe some kind of judge to represent some kind of like power. And I have a really hard time explaining what that figure was going to be because in the end it wasn't the right figure. So it's hard for me to articulate what that idea was because it wasn't the right idea. And I think I was kind of starting to think about that one around, the 2016 election. And I was like, judge ain't right. That's not the right energy. That's not the right thing. And so I switched it to a healer. I realized that's who that figure needed to be. Time went on, and then my illness happened. And so I had already made that decision like long before my autoimmune disease expressed itself. And it kind of just happened to be the one that was next in line when I was able to go back to my studio, which I think is not a coincidence. So that to me is extremely powerful because that piece, like I say, like it saved me, and we maybe kind of created each other.
It's interesting though. I actually see a connection between the judge and healer, or like what you talk about with the cyclical nature in that piece. And I think of time, and time kind of being a judge, and that as we go through and repeat things, there's hopefully a learning that occurs.
Is so brilliant.
Yeah.
You're so right.
So I see a connection, but there's like, when you say judge, there's a harshness.
Yes.
There's like, I'm going to tell you if you're
finality,
good or bad, right or wrong.
Yeah.
And the healer is way more like in that just all is welcome, and you're going to go through all of these cycles and learn things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I've never thought about it that way. And you're totally right. Yeah.
like justice, like in a sense of justice, in a sense of like, doing your lesson over and over till you get it right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time.
I don't think you're alone in that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing it over and over again until there is some actual humility that comes through. And be like, oh, okay, I am not a god. I am flawed, and I will repeat these things, but to have, more, not mercy, what's the word? Compassion. Compassion and generosity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Than the judge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you talked a little bit about like the Fool being the, what did you say? Not the most esoteric, but most esoteric. You said esoteric.
Yeah.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, that idea of kind of being the awakener in a way, or awakening, and to be the one that's searching. I think there's a lot of just mystery in that, and a lot of that imagery has to do with the search and entering the unknown and the expanse, and the journey. Again, there's like that duality of what's within and without. And so I do think of I say figures, but I really do think of them as vessels. And that has a lot to do with, the outline of the figures kind of loosely based off the Matryoshka stacking dolls, which was not intentional, but something that I was drawing a lot. And I came to that realization later in my practice. And that was something that I embraced, like, oh yeah, this shape, that makes sense. This is what I played with as a kid and felt really drawn to. So all that to say, the imagery in The Fool has a star portal. And so it's a portal inward. And then that imagery is also reflected in the eyes. So it's kind of seeing what's within is also without, that idea. And then that figure is looking out into the expanse. There's a swampy area and some palmettos down at the base of the figure, and then some fireflies kind of mid-flight launching off the palmettos. So it also is kind of referencing that kind of liminal space and being in the in-between, but also recognizing, with those symbols of the stars in the eyes and cradling, the inner portal, recognizing that journey and that expression. And what else is in that one? The seedling appears again in the textile, but this time the seed is in a flame, and that flame is making the seedling bloom. And then there are two moths that are being drawn to the flame. And then in the headdress area, there's a lot of symbolism of Slavic tree of life too. And so there's stags, and there's an oak tree and acorns, and there's foxes, so a little bit of that like kind of trickster energy. And they're going for some berries that are in the textiles as well, which is just a sweet little like playful detail that I wanted to put in there. Because I also think play and joy is really important. And so I like incorporating those elements into the work where I can in the details. Like the moths are super cute. And so the whole time I was working on the moths, there were times I'd just pause and be like, oh, that's so cute, and then come back to carving. So play, I think, is really important in making work and, finding the joy in it. Like it's hard work, but it's not just hard work. And so that, I think those are all the major design elements in that one. There's a comet that's also being reflected in the water. So there's that, kind of above and below symbolism, and the within without symbolism as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so each piece is so steeped in symbolism. I'm curious about that process. If it was like, okay, these are the symbols I want in this piece, or did it feel more organic, or was it both?
It's both.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when I'm thinking of a figure, I kind of have a general idea of what I want to put into it. And so I will start sketching the figure out, and then I'll also make a written list, and I'll take notes on things that I'm interested in or what I might want to incorporate. And I'll start sketching those elements separately, maybe some textile embroidery elements separately. Some of the animals sometimes are separate, and so I'm kind of finding these elements and symbols that I like, and sometimes they're informing each other to make relationships that make sense, and so I decide to incorporate those, like the fox and the berries and the textile bands there. So it kind of comes together that way. And sometimes things don't work out either. For the headdress on this one, I had a really organic botanical design that I really liked that incorporated the berries and the vines. And I had something else for the foxes there, which was going to be more of that kind of playful search, or just like falling for the sweet treats kind of thing. And it just was not right. And I thought that I liked it, I enjoyed it, but it just wasn't sitting right. And so I kept rethinking things, and then, I came back to my list and I was like, oh yeah, this tree of life idea was really interesting to me. And then also incorporating the oak and the acorns, and that the place that has in Slavic tree of life mythology, as well as the stags. And then, so I started playing with that. So I scrapped the first idea, and then went with that second idea. So a lot of it does happen organically. Yeah.
When you were working on these pieces, did you feel like they were also informing you of what they wanted?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely see it as a dialogue. Because some things just, happen intuitively, or, the piece was saying that's not the right thing for me to wear.
Right.
Like, that's not me. So I was like, okay, let me go back and draw some new things and see what fits right. And so within that, there's a lot of iterations. And a lot of, I draw, when I'm working to scale, and I really like working to scale, I use tracing papers or vellums, and I joke it's like my manual Photoshop layers. And so I do that, and I can make little edits, or just, construct an image that's maybe 5 pieces deep, and I can take pieces out. So there's a lot of iterations in designing something like that, and finding what suits the piece. sometimes to make something fit, I have to change something elsewhere and, construct it that way. Yeah. And I do feel like I have a relationship with them, so that I enjoy that.
I was, thinking about how in some of the recent pieces you have elements that are kind of coming into like the Ultra Horizon piece. Like I think about the comet, or like in the new screen prints, you have the portals. I mean, there's a sort of like the obvious question can sort of be like, what's next in a way, but like, is there any sort of, I mean, you had this clear direction, right, for a long time, and you went back and forth between other projects. Is there any kind of like postpartum, like any kind of like mourning, or does it just sort of feel like it's all just kind of rolling into the next one?
I feel like it's all rolling into the next one. Yeah. And I do feel a lot of relief that the project is complete. And like maybe some of it's kind of bittersweet. Like I definitely, like there are parts of the project and the process that I love, and people that I've been working with that, I'm going to miss making these crazy big prints with my team. You know what I mean? Yeah. But hopefully we'll be making other crazy prints with them. And, I tell myself, there are no rules, right? If I want to come back to this project and do something else, I'll do that.
You can add.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Start
Maybe
a whole
there's a
other
ninth.
cycle. Maybe, true. Maybe there's another 8. And so I just feel happy about it.
Yeah.
And relief. And it's such a physical, labor intensive process doing the carving. Intellectual load of like designing everything and going through those iterations, and then the technical problem solving and planning, and then getting all the components ready so that when I meet with my team, I've done everything I need to do so, we can be successful. And then there's a lot that has to happen in that collaboration time that I can't foresee or that I can't do on my own because it requires other people, like the technical problem solving. And exactly, like obviously, like going through color trials, like the proofing that we have to do to get to the bat. So where was I going with that? It's a relief.
Yeah.
I think I was going to
that. I'm having memories of things that you shared last time we interviewed around what you just shared, like the complexity of your process and how that just feels integral to how you work, and that it couldn't be any other way. That there has to be a level of like maybe this is even your father. Was it your grandfather? Who was the engineer? The technical.
My grandfather.
Yeah, your grandfather.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like grandfather coming in, like
Maybe.
this engineering where it has to be multi-leveled, and you're figuring out all of these parts to something that's large. Yeah.
Well, and my parents are also classical musicians, and that's very like analytical and like very practical. Like I see how this is a through line of all these, the artistry, in my family and the process in which like everybody has worked. And yes, like I long for a loose monoprint, right? It's like I long for that. But that's just, and if I were to do it, I don't know if I would even enjoy
that would satisfy
you. Know
you.
What I mean? Yeah, because I really do like thinking about it and the problem solving and the time. And I always say like it takes the time it takes, and I enjoy all of that. And if I'm going to spend my time doing something like that, I want to know that I've given it everything I can. And if I'm asking a viewer to sit with something that I really care about, I want them to know I put everything into that. And if I'm, hoping that somebody's going to love a piece and want to take it with them, I want them to know I've done, I've honored that.
Yeah.
So, and because it's a huge honor for me when people really resonate with the work. it's like the biggest honor. And then if somebody wants to live with it or put it, in an institution or something like that, or teach from it, or ask me to teach my process, so that I think is the only way it could really work.
Yeah.
I can really relate just in terms of like for me what unlocked my creativity. Kara and I both went through the same photography program, and like my intention was to be a studio artist. And I don't know that I would have, like, I guess in my mind being a studio artist was like the solo, being by myself, working on my things, and I needed to be in an environment where like I was like trying to figure out how all the different puzzle pieces work together. And doing this has really been the thing that unlocked my creativity. And that complexity, I guess, is part of it for me. Like for whatever reason, my mind needs that level of engagement and problem solving to like how do you make this thing work?
Yeah. I was talking with a new friend yesterday, or I don't know, a couple of days ago, and they were sharing their process and like the complexity of their process, and they were saying something similar, like they long for just it being simple, but that's just not how they work. And I was saying that there is something just like innate, and that like the way that we want to express ourselves, that just comes out. And no matter like these ideas we have about how we want things to be or go, it's like this other innate thing always comes through, and it shows so strongly in these artistic practices.
And I think that goes back to what you were saying about the dialogue between the work and myself as the artist. And it's like the work kind of tells me what it needs, I guess.
Yeah, the work is like, Annalise, really? Are you making me a little too like two-dimensional, or I want some complexity here. Yeah.
But I think that shows that like you're being real honest with it, right? Like, I mean, I think our creativity is a mirror, and it's like for me, in my experience, it's like the goal is to just sort of like be more and more honest with like what's showing up and how I respond to it, so if it's not in alignment, it's going to show me, it's going to be one of those lessons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Not the judge.
Not the judge.
Not the judge.
The healer.
The
Yeah.
healer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time. It's like, oh, here you go again. You're doing that thing again. We're going to repeat this. Yeah.
So what is next?
Yeah. So I want to work in, let me think about this, because the main thing that I want to start doing with my etching practice, I really like going back and forth between relief and etching. And I don't consider Ultra Horizon a one-off piece. That one's a big multi-plate etching. It has aquatint, and it has spit bite, which is when you paint nitric acid on the plate to do the, add a very painterly looking gradient. And it's also a shinkale. It's a really big etching in process, but also in size. And I have so much fun doing that. I would like to do some more pieces like that, and very, that one also has lots of symbolism in it, lots of pattern, lots of color. And so I want to do some more etchings in that vein. I also would like to use, I have a lot of copper scrap and like interesting shaped plates just from like cutting out other plates. And so I would really like to design images for those matrices rather than the other way around. So that's kind of where I think I would loosen up a little bit, as I already have this, shape I'm going to use. Interested in doing shape plates for some of these. So I think that would be a lot of fun. And so that's the etching side, and now I'm going to go back to the relief side. There are interests I have in a similar vein of this series, carrying things from home, but rather than working like adult life size. I always describe this, and I'm holding my arms out like I'm cradling something. And I always describe it by doing this. Yeah, vessel size, maybe maybe child size, or something that, you know, cradle size, like I'm cradling it.
Large baby.
Large baby. Or the size of my dog. But yeah, and so doing relief and changing the scale, because I think they're also really beautiful when they're smaller. It's really important that they're life size, and viewers can have that one-to-one relationship with them. And I would also like to do them smaller, and I think relief, maybe with some other print process. I haven't exactly decided. And so that is another one that I want to do.
That would be so interesting to feel the what comes through when they're small. You know, that's like there's going to maybe be completely different impact, right? Because the size that they are now, they do there is a kind of godlike quality to them. It feels, you know, you said a vessel, but I was thinking like archetype or like a messenger, and something small, I think precious.
Yeah. And I love something precious.
Yeah.
And so I would like to do that. So maybe that's a future show. It's the small ones.
Yeah. Cool.
There was something in here. I don't know if it makes sense to circle back around.
We can circle.
We
can circle back.
serpentine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just you mentioned it very briefly, and maybe that's all there is, because you said, you know, that your family had to leave when your father was super, super young, and like everything was left behind. And I'm more curious about that and how that has influenced you.
Well, I think it definitely instills a sense of gratitude, you know, for everybody in my family and my own relationships and my own sense of home and place. And how rooted I feel to my home, which is Texas. And I love the Texas landscape. And, you know, I grew up in the hill country, but it's also, you know, it's desert adjacent. And that landscape just resonates with me so deeply. And the plants and the animals and how they interact. And that's a big design element in my work, is the flora and fauna, and it's, you know, usually native flora and fauna, and I use that to root my figures to a new homeland. And I definitely feel that. And so I think that you know, I think that loss of that history maybe makes me feel a bit more potently about, you know, where I am in place.
Yeah.
So
oh, that's fascinating. I'm just thinking too, is like you talk about the tree, ash. Did you say ash? No, you said
tree.
Oak tree.
Oak
You
tree.
said oak tree, and the fox. And there's like the flora and the fauna of these two different lands kind of coming together in the pieces and having a dialogue with one another.
yeah, and you know, like I call the hunter, you know, it has these Siberian animals. I mean, those animals, like many do, exist in multiple places, you know, of course. So I love seeing foxes at home. I see them all the time. Hares, you know.
You get to see foxes.
We have foxes. Yeah. And my parents have some foxes that will like have a den around where they are. So there's kits around. And so that's really special. And I also use like snakes a lot, or in Ultra Horizon, there's cicadas and there's June bugs and, you know, things that are, you know, those have symbols to me, but they're also like evocative of a time and a place, right? When things emerge or when they're active. Yeah.
Yeah, cicadas are wild.
They're crazy. super cool.
I went, when was this? 4 or 5 years ago, a small group of my girlfriends went out to the Chalma River. And it was that year, I guess cicadas come out every 10 years. Is that correct?
Some do.
Yeah. So it was a cycle for the cicadas to come out. And we were at the campsite that we were at, and there were the bodies of the cicadas everywhere. And we were like, this is our little witch pad, because it was, I had never seen anything like this, like the amount of cicada bodies that there were hundreds in our little surrounding area. I was just like, that is so wild. They just like come out after 10 years being underground, shed their skin, and then make all this noise.
Yeah.
You know, and then go back down.
Yeah. That's amazing. I've never experienced a big like brood like that. Like what was it? I think it was brood 10. Sometimes I think of it as brood X because, you know, the X is the 10.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the big one that happened. That was like a few years ago, right? Yes. I've never experienced one of those, and I really want to. We don't get those types of broods in Texas. Ours will come out, I mean, we have them every year, but, you know, they come out every several years, I guess. But I've wanted to experience that.
Yeah.
And I hear that people who live in that, they're like totally overwhelmed. I mean,
I'm
they're just
sure.
like, it's like a pest, right? Because they're so loud, and then they're dying everywhere. I hear it smells bad, which I never even thought about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Wow.
that's
Well,
really
it was
interesting.
pretty creepy and also
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Just be kind of, you know, we're all weird dancers, and we're rolling around on these trees, and we're like, what is this? And we just be picking off cicada bodies off of us.
That is one of the witchiest
Wow.
things I have ever.
That's so
What an
funny.
event to like experience. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels, I don't want to use the word blessing. It feels like you went through a little portal and you got to go into another reality. Like you were fortunate enough. Yeah, that's how it felt. Like fortunate enough to like glimpse this other wild reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the cicadas are doing.
That's right.
Going through their portal and coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Wow.
What a
The
time.
foxes, it made me think we had, it's been a few years, but we had a bobcat family visit us a few years in a row and bring their babies, and that was just the most adorable thing.
That's so magical.
Yeah, there was like 3. One of them had 3,
Yeah.
3 babies.
Wow.
Yeah. So sweet.
Yeah.
Wow.
And right now we have 2 Cooper hawks that have built their nest in the elm right by our house 2 months ago, I think 2 or 3. Yeah. And the baby birds just hatched. We can't see them because they're so high up there, but can hear them, and found their eggs on the ground.
Oh yeah.
And then the 2 hawks now are really going overtime.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were walking through the park by my house, and there's a red-tailed hawk nest up there, which is a massive nest. And Chris was like, "Oh, look, you can see the babies." And I'm like looking way up there because it's way in the distance. And then you just see this like fuzz ball, and like I could only see it because the sun was shining through its fuzzy feathers, and his little head is there, just like kooky little fuzzy feathers. And then I'm looking at it, and it was really cute.
Yeah, hawk babies are crazy looking. I mean, I think they're just as big as the parents, but they're just all fuzz, right? They're just fuzzy.
It looked big. It must have been big,
Yeah.
for me to be able to see it so
Yeah.
far away through its fuzzy feathers.
They're fuzzy. They eat the cottonwood fuzz, just like the ducklings.
Just like those ducklings.
Yeah.
Should we get into a few softballs?
Sure. You start.
Can you open that up?
Oh, yes, I can.
Oh, well, I have one in my head. How about, is there anything that you're reading or listening to right now that's like sparking, lighting you up?
Oh, that is a good question. I've been a bit, I guess, I don't know. I go through phases with music and media, and I think I've been in kind of like a hibernation period in that regard. I have been enjoying, like I love the Ologies podcast. I always listen to Ologies, Ali Ward. We might have talked about this one last
I kind
time.
of remember it a little bit.
That one's very inspiring to me.
Tell me.
Yeah, she's a science writer, communicator, really great interviewer, funny, smart. And so she interviews, quote unquote, ologists, so specialists in all these different fields. And they have a really engaging conversation about that specialty. And then she has her Patreon patrons ask questions. So then there's this question and answer round. And so it's just funny and joyful, sometimes sad, depending on what the topic is, or sometimes deep, just like kind of a difficult topic. But that one I really like. And lately I've been listening to a lot of 99% Invisible, which I got into. I started, so I've been putting on more podcasts than anything else. And I started replaying kind of from the beginning Radiolab podcasts. And then, they have guest spots. And a lot of the Radiolab ones I remember, pretty well, like the big, the heavy hitters, ones that stood out to me. But then I've switched over to 99% Invisible. So I've been getting into that one. So I guess that kind of stuff has been engaging to me lately. However, I love movies. We went to see Project Hail Mary in the IMAX twice.
Whoa.
It was so good. Okay, so that is just a really great film. Have you seen it?
Kara saw
Have a
it.
throwdown.
Oh no, did you not like it? It was what I needed at the time, and I need some like joyful sci-fi, and I love the puppetry and practical sets. I get so into that kind of thing. Yeah. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, another friend went and saw it, and she was like, "What? You did not like it?" And there is a part of me that is such a snob when it comes to believability.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it's just ridiculous because it's science fiction.
Yeah.
But
but maybe that's not your genre.
no, I love science fiction.
Yeah.
But I don't know why, and maybe it was because my brother was right beside me, and he's even more of a snob when it comes, because he's a voracious science fiction reader.
Yeah.
And so maybe I was feeling him, and I was like, oh gosh, yeah, this is. But I had such a hard time with how cute they made the alien.
I loved him. Yes, and that's the thing, that it was like so joyful. And I understand.
Yeah.
I understand
I'm
what you're
totally
saying.
for the joy.
Because oftentimes sci-fi, like hard sci-fi, right, is like tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a good situation.
Well, but it's not even that it was not a good situation. It was just like, okay, you were too cute from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I needed the fantasy part of that, I think, and it was so fun. And we went and saw it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear you, though.
But I did cry. There was a moment where where we weren't sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I won't give anything away.
We won't. I guess no spoilers. We need to remember that. But I don't know. It's been out for a while. One thing about that, to your point, is that some of it, if something's like really funny, and like if people are cracking jokes, like the film is cracking a joke, it'll pull me out of it.
Yeah.
And so there were some times in my first watching where I felt that, and I was like, this is like, I don't know, what is the corny?
Yeah.
This is
corny.
maybe a little corny.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I was back in it. I was like, that's okay.
Yeah,
I like a little corn.
Yeah.
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 I mean, maybe I should give it a second shot.
Maybe so.
But I think that's important to have like sci-fi that isn't just about, the future potential darkness.
Yeah.
Like there was this this series that both of us read, the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers. And, it's far future, and, AI got sentient, and then they decided, you know what, we actually don't want to be around humans anymore. So all the robots left and basically took all the tech. And so society went through whatever they had to, and this is 1,000 years after people had seen the last robot. And society actually seems a little utopic. It's wow, this seems actually pretty nice. And so it follows this person who's a tea monk. And they're basically a therapist, but they just travel around to different villages serving tea and talking to people.
Yeah.
But they get curious, and they're like, what happened to the robots? And they just go on this adventure to go try to find a robot.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's really sweet, but it's still very sci-fi.
Yeah. Sci-fi. Yeah. It's a story about friendship.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice. Which is
That's
what
nice.
Project Hail Mary was about.
That at its heart.
At its heart, it
absolutely
was about friendship. And I can get behind that.
Me too. And our friendship can bridge the gap that we have differing opinions.
We built bridges today.
Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like I'd enjoy that.
It's really sweet.
Yeah.
I'll send you a link to it.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We need goodness. We need some corny and some sweetness right now for sure.
Yeah.
I was, for a while, I'm hoping this is wearing off, but for a while I felt like all of our entertainment was so dark. It was just so apocalypse and people going crazy, and we're living, in the true no life, and there's roving bands of people at war, and I was like, what is this about? What is this in the collective psyche that feels like we have to repeat this dark story over and over again? And I also was thinking, what is this doing to the collective psyche that we're imbibing this story so much? It's every series out there was boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
The
But then you have your Ted Lassos and
For
your...
sure.
Yeah, but
for
Ted
sure.
Lasso was a little post what I'm talking about. This was the 2010s, 2010 to 20 was really, there was, I felt, and maybe that was just what I was watching, but I was gosh, everything is these roving people that have gone to another planet, or, the planet itself is dead, and I was okay, can we get something else here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a little. You would have loved Project Hail Mary then, maybe.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's interesting. I mean, there's definitely the collective, the zeitgeist informs the media, what people want to see, and whether people are getting just some kind of camaraderie from that, or really a release in that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. It's what?
Yeah.
What is this feeding in us? Is there something that is needing expression that's not getting expression, or is there what is this that's repeating over and over? What is this pattern that I'm seeing repeated over and over again? What is that doing for us?
Yeah.
Why are we reaching for that over and over again?
The word that just came to mind was fragility, just seeing how fragile just agreements that we make as humans are, and how there's an apparent fragility, I think, in especially now with things feeling so uncertain, and just what's happening in the world and where things are going and what climate change is going to do and all those kinds of things, that fear of things devolving, right? That there's maybe some kind of core fragility there. I don't know.
Catharsis. That's the word I was trying to think of.
Catharsis.
Maybe there's some catharsis there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were obsessed for a while with Lost.
Oh, right.
Show Lost.
Oh, yeah.
We watched it 3 times.
That's
the
a
whole
lot.
thing. Yeah.
It is a lot.
Yeah. I've seen it once, but I was really into it until I remember being let down at the,
Yeah.
at the end kind of lost me. Which I
You
think
got
is
lost.
that most, I
Nah.
got lost
A
in
lot of
that.
people got lost.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the ending.
Yeah. I should give it another shot.
Yeah.
Start
I don't know
lost
if it
from
holds
the-
up. Yeah.
There was also there's something I made up, I think, that said, "Oh, we've gotten so comfy, like everything in some ways have gotten so
Convenient.
convenient that we turn to these shows where people are, again, like constantly fighting and trying to figure out the button and all, whatever, because it's sparking something in us that makes us feel like not so out of, or like pulls us out of that sense of everything's comfy and predictable and,
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And you know what also holds up is that movie Coneheads.
Really?
When was the last time y'all watched Coneheads? Talking about like silly,
when it
like,
came out?
sci-fi. Well,
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd's amazing in it, and he is like a really big ufologist, and like that starts to make sense with like Ghostbusters when you start to watch those things. But like it's really fun and hilarious. So I'd say if you need something fun and just
Nice.
kind of pulpy and enjoyable to watch.
lot
And
of
it's
them
got a
don't
sick
hold
music
up.
video at the end. People aren't doing like music videos with their movies
No.
anymore, and it's like it's really
that is so true.
it's really good.
That was such a fixture.
Yeah.
The-
Yes.
Yes.
Bring
Oh.
back the music videos.
Bring
and
back the
films.
music videos
Yeah.
and the films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, should we end on one
Go for it.
more? Okay. I decided for this one.
Okay.
What would make you scream out loud?
Probably just like being scared.
It doesn't have to be a scary scream.
Oh,
It could be any kind of scream.
like a happy scream.
What would make you scream happy?
Like you see the Beatles and
Happy
you scream.
out loud.
I feel like I should have an easier time answering this question. When was the
Squeal
last time
with
I
delight.
When was the last time I squealed with delight? Okay, one thing, and I'll drop a friend of the podcast here. I'm going to see Miranda in October and do that trip with her. So I think I've done a lot of like happy screaming about looking forward to that, and as we've been planning that.
In Thailand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
When you're on a beach in Thailand and you're drinking from a coconut, you'll squeal.
I'll let out a little happy squeal, and I'll think of this. I'll think of this moment. I know that there was one recently because I was like, wow, this is a rare, like, it's rare that something elicits this for me, and I don't really remember what it was, and it could have been that, because I know I've been very excited about that. But, yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you
Well,
again.
My pleasure.
Number
Thanks,
2.
you.
Number 3, maybe down the road. We'll see
yes,
where things go.
I'm sure.
Hooray.
Yeah. Yeah. The outro.
Definitely.